Kia has just unveiled probably one of the coolest designs for 2026, and this is the Kia Tasman, and it's their first truck. We don't know if we're gonna get it here in the United States, but I really hope we do because I want to see this modified with 35-inch wheels and super rugged off-road tires. I think it looks so cool. It's not. Is it a beautiful design? Absolutely not. But that's not what this is about. This, when I look at this, it looks like a old Soviet truck. If you're old enough to remember the game Red Alert, this looks like something out of that game. I absolutely love this design. So what we're gonna do in this video is have a look at this design, of course, from our front, side, and rear. And they also have a base model, which I also think looks so cool. Very stripped down, rear wheel drive. And we're also going to have a look at the interior. But before we do that, let's have a look at the spec and tech for this from this article from Car and Driver. So the 2026 Kia Tasman makes a global debut stocked with truck stuff. There is no official word on whether it would be sold in the United States, but the Tasman looks like it would fit in just fine. And have a look at this beast. The thing, this looks a lot bigger than what it actually is. It has to do with this massive bulge that we have in the hood. It looks like a Mack truck from the future. It's such a cool design. So it's a body-on-frame Tasman, and it offers multiple powertrains, including a diesel engine with a 6-speed manual. That just makes this so much more appealing to me, to have an old school diesel, and this looks like an old diesel truck. And then on top of that, you can have it with 6-speed manual, or I do believe an 8-speed automatic. It has a live rear axle and can tow up to 7,716 pounds and wade through 32 inches of water. So it is a proper off-roader, this thing. The Tasman doesn't look like anything else you'll ever find in a Kia showroom. Obviously, they've never done a truck before, so that's really not anything surprising. It has a 128.7-inch wheelbase, which is about 10 inches longer than the Hyundai Santa Cruz, for example. And unlike Hyundai's smaller pickup, the Tasman has a sturdy body-on-frame construction. That is what you want to see with this design. I mean, look at these buoys or whatever, like floating devices that we have here on the side. It looks so strange, and these are so annoying to me, but in a good way. I want to be annoyed by something in a car design, and here we have that here with these I don't know what to call them, like wheel fenders over both the front and the rear axle. It also has an independent front suspension and leaf-sprung solid rear axle. Certifying its truck cred, the Tasman can tow just as much as the Gladiator. Max payload comes in at 2,635 pounds. You have 3 different trim levels, and I love the baseline here. I'm going to show you the baseline in Photoshop because that feels to me like a back to basics truck. And you combine that with a 6-speed manual and a diesel, even though I would love to have that, the baseline with the 4-wheel drive. I'm not sure if you can get that. So you have the baseline, X-Line, and the X Pro. Only the base models offers rear-wheel drive, but it's available with all-wheel drive. That's standard on the other two. Okay, so that would probably be my spec. I would go for the baseline steel bed. It looks like an old-school steel bed in the back. It's in black. It looks so cool. I'm going to show you that in a minute. There's a gas-fed 2.5-liter engine that produces 277 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. Or you can get this diesel, 2.2-liter diesel with 205 horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque. The gas engine pairs exclusively with an 8-speed automatic, which is also offered with the diesel, along with the 6-speed manual transmission. So you can have it as a single cab. I would go for the single cab just because of it wouldn't be as practical, of course, as the quad cab here, or the crew cab, but it would definitely it just has the right look. So the single cab is only for the base model, and the Kia has integrated side steps into the rear bumper, just like Chevy has done with this truck for several years already. Inside, this is where it gets super modern. We do have the dual setup here with the screens, but I think, think about what Kia used to be just 10, 15 years ago, and how they stepped up their quality game. This looks like a very cool interior, even though I would love to have a housing for the gauge cluster here. So we have a symmetrical dashboard layout. It's outfitted with a large glass panel that houses both the 12.3-inch gauge cluster and the 12.3-inch infotainment screen. You have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. You have dual wireless charging pad and an 8-speed Harman Kardon stereo. Column-mounted gear selector if you go with the 8-speed automatic, of course. Otherwise, you're going to get the stick shift with the 6-speed. And a mix of physical and digital buttons. The back seats recline too, and there is roughly 1 cubic foot of storage space underneath the back seats. You can fold them up and store stuff under there just so you can do in a Ram 1500. So the Tasman X Pro is the off-road focused model, and it lets you know with the specific 17-inch wheels and all-terrain tires. Also, you can have bead-lock capable wheels on the Tasman. It also has an electronically locking rear diff and exclusive drive mode. So as I said, this is a proper off-roader here. They didn't go easy on this and just make it look like a proper truck. It actually has all the functionalities that you want in a design like this. The X Pro also has a 1.1-inch lift that helps provide 9.5 inches of ground clearance. Not bad at all. And it can be fitted with a ladder rack, a sport bar, and single and double decker bed add-ons. You can see that right here. And this, again, just looks right. It looks functional and rugged, and that's what you want with a design like this. So Kia plans to launch the Tasman in Korea during the first half of 2025, and then it will be introduced in Australia, Africa, and Middle East. We don't know, as I said, if it's going to come here to the United States, but I really, really hope that they bring this over here. This is a truck that I would personally want to drive around, and it just has it's such a unique design. Look at the base model here. How cool is this? In black with the steelies for the wheels down here, looking super tight, all blacked out. And this, as I said, looks like a sort of like a Mack truck in the front end here with this big bulge that we have for the hood. We have a proper solid bumper in the front end here as well, looking very rugged, integrated fog lights down here. And this is a light that you can clearly see just by looking at the light design here, that this is a Kia, big Kia, probably the biggest Kia logo they've ever put on a vehicle. And in this spec, the base with the steelies in this black design, I think it's just spot on when it comes to the styling. I also love that we have a lot of styling features here. This is a design that I think the designers had a lot of fun with, because it's not just pure functionality. We still have all these beautiful chamfers going around the greenhouse here, for example. We have a very rugged looking door handle, and of course these graphic features going above both the front and rear axle. Since we just have a steel bed here in the base model, we don't have the other piece back here like we have on the quad cab, for example, but it still looks very cool. And I'm glad to see that Kia are having a lot of fun with their designs right now. They absolutely nailed this one, that's for sure. So let's have a look at this is probably the X Pro that we're looking at right here. Here you can see the contrast between the plastic pieces going above the front and rear axle and how that contrasts with the rest of the body. Huge chamfer going in the front end, and this is what brings in this semi feel for this Mack truck. Makes it look a lot bigger than what it actually is. I'm not sure if this bumper is steel. I doubt it. This looks maybe to be plastic, but it's totally fine. The approach angle look decent here as well. You can see that we see a lot of the wheel itself. So the off-road capabilities for this with the rear locking differential and the solid rear axle and all of that stuff, it's going to be a proper off-roader. I'm looking forward to see how this actually handles off-road when it comes when they put out some tests on YouTube. You have a couple of tow hooks down here as well. The grille design looks nice. Maybe we have a tiger nose design here with this piece sticking up here, and then we have these dips up top with the Kia logo up there as well. The front end, as I said, it's definitely not going to win any beauty contest, this thing, but that is not what you want with a car like this. You want this to be almost like a militaristic approach to its design, and this looks like it could, be part of some army in some countries. So looking at the side view here, the side profile has a clear, defined truck design. You can see how it dips down here in the roofline, which is a pretty interesting design. You have the window back here as well. A lot of beautiful looking chamfers going all over this truck. Body on frame construction, meaning that this piece. The bed is separated from the cab itself, and we have this gorgeous chamfer going from the A-pillar here, going down here and around in the bottom and shoots back up in the rear end. A detail like that just makes it feel very fresh and also very futuristic. I also like that how they played around with the graphics here to carve out some of this volume. Instead of having this piece be body colored, they made it black, which makes it feel a little bit more nimble, which also continues into the back. And here you can see the step for the bed, step up there, and you can have a look at what's going on in the bed itself. Not sure if this has some sort of compartment here. It looks like it has some sort of opening, probably the fuel cap. Again, super cool design and fun design from Kia. I want to see more cars like this where they make something completely different that we're not used to seeing at all on the streets. You can see how this front end continues into the headlights. So this black piece over the front axle is actually a part or sort of a housing for the headlight unit, and I do like the design of the wheel wells here as well, having a very sharp and angled looking design, looking super cool. Here you can see the off-road wheels and tires looking great. This design, I don't mind having this in black because it just adds to this more functional and rugged feel that you definitely want to have here. And I already want to throw in this optional piece that you can throw on top of the bed. Not sure what you can have in here. It looks like a massive space, but it's also going to give you a safer storage compartment by having this huge box on the rear end. And these bars look very nice as well, going down into the corners here, as you can see. Again, this military style just comes back here, even more so when you have these options on the back. You can see the side step here, or the steps more clearly down here in the bumper. We have a big Tasman logo, and this is an absolutely huge Kia logo in the tailgate there. I like these black graphics that comes back all over this truck. We have it here, we have it in the side, we also had it in the grille here with this big black grille in the front end. It just makes for a congruent design all around. The taillights look, again, very Kia-like with this sharp LEDs in very simple styling graphics, and I do think it suits this overall truck to have a simplistic styling both for the key graphics in the front end and, as you can see, back here in the rear. Now, last but not least, this interior doesn't feel like it belongs to this type of design. This design looks like, as I said, a military vehicle. If you go in here, this looks like a luxury vehicle, which is not bad at all. I like the combinations of that because when you're inside the vehicle, you still want to have all the comforts that we're used to having in 2025 as this model year is. So we have sort of an ellipse that goes all across here, looking very beautiful. And again, I think Kia is probably one of the brands that have stepped it up the most the last decade or so when it comes to quality. Love to see that we have a couple of toggles here, physical toggles and buttons here as well. You can probably adjust the temp with this separated screen in the middle, but I do believe you can probably adjust them down here with a couple of buttons as well. USBs, phone chargers, cup holders, more buttons and toggles, dials back here. Beautiful looking steering wheel. It reminds me a little bit of a Ford F-150 steering wheel. Not a bad thing at all. Kia logo off-centered. You have more physical buttons on the steering wheel here as well. In addition to, I do believe this is the vent here on the side. And you also have some vents down here at the bottom with this island floating in the middle of this honeycomb texture that we have going all around the car. So overall, this is a huge surprise for me. I had no idea that Kia was even building a truck. I think there were some spy photos of it a couple of months back, but I totally missed that. And then I saw this yesterday, and I was surprised and shocked and happy to see the design approach that Kia has taken to this design. Because, as I said, the single cab with the diesel engine, four-wheel drive, of course, and a manual transmission, that will be one of the coolest new trucks on sale today. And I really hope that they will bring this over here to the United States, because I think this is going to be a hit if they decide to do that.